Lord Chesterfield's letters to his son. This one dated October 9th, 1746, from Bath. Dear boy, your distress in your journey from Heidelberg to Schaffhausen, your lying upon straw, your black bread, and your broken Berline are proper seasonings for the greater fatigues and distresses which you must expect in the course of your travels. And, if one had a mind to moralize, one might call them the samples of the accidents, rubs, and difficulties which every man meets with in his journey through life. In this journey, the understanding is the vulture that carry you through, and in proportion as to the stronger or weaker, more or less in repair, your journey will be better or worse, though at best you will now and then find some bad roads and some bad inns. Take care, therefore, to keep that necessary vulture in perfect good repair. Examine, improve, and strengthen in every day. Keep that necessary vulture in perfect good repair. Examine, improve, and strengthen it every day. It is in the power and ought to be in the care of every man to do it. He that neglects it deserves to feel, and certainly will feel, the fatal effects of that negligence. Apropos of negligence, I must say something to you upon that subject. You know, I have often told you that my affection for you is not a weak womanish one, and far from blinding me, it makes me but more quick-sighted as to your faults. Those that it is not only my right and my duty to tell you of, and it is your duty and your interest to correct them. In the strict scrutiny which I have made into you, I have, thank God, up to now, hitherto not discovered any vice of the heart or any peculiar weakness of the head, but I have discovered laziness, inattention, and indifference, faults which are only pardonable in old men who, in the decline of life, when health and spirits fail, have a kind of claim to that sort of tranquility. But a young man should be ambitious to shine and excel, alert, active, and indefatigable in the means of doing it, and like Caesar, nil actum reputane sequid superest agendum. You seem to want that vivida vi animi which spurs and excites most young men to please, to shine, to excel. Without the desire and the pains necessary to be considerable, depend upon it, you never can be so, as without the desire and attention necessary to please, you never can please. Nullum nonnum abest cecit peridentia is unquestionably true with regards to everything except poetry, and I am very sure that any man of common understanding may, by proper culture, care, attention, and labor, make himself whatever he pleases except a good poet. Your destination is the great and busy world. Your immediate object is the affairs, the interests, and the history of the constitutions, the customs, and the manners of the several parts of Europe. In this, any man of common sense may, by common application, be sure to excel. Ancient and modern history are, by attention, easily attainable. Geography and chronology the same. None of them require any uncommon share of genius or invention. Speaking and writing clearly, directly, and with ease and grace are certainly to be acquired by reading the best authors and care by attention to the best living models. These are the qualifications more particularly necessary for you in your department, which you may be possessed of, if you please, and which I tell you fairly, I shall be very angry with you if you are not, because as you have the means in your hands, it'll be your own fault only. If care and application are necessary to the acquiring of those qualifications without which you can never be considerable nor make a figure in the world, they are not less necessary with regards to the lesser accomplishments which are requisite to make you agreeable and pleasing in society. In truth, whatever is worth doing at all is worth doing well, and nothing can be done well without attention. I therefore carry the necessity of attention down to the lowest things, even to dancing and dress. Custom has made dancing sometimes necessary for a young man. Therefore, mind it while you learn it, and you may learn to do it well, and not be ridiculous, though it is a ridiculous act. Dress is of the same nature that you must dress, therefore attend to it, not in order to rival or to excel a fop in it, but in order to avoid singularity and consequentially ridicule. Take great care always to be dressed like the reasonable people of your own age in the place where you are, whose dress is never spoken of one way or another as either too negligent or too much studied. What is commonly called an absent man is commonly either a very weak or a very affected man. But be he which he will, he is, I am sure, a very disagreeable man in company. He fails in all the common offices of civility. He seems not to know those people today, and whom yesterday he appeared to live in intimacy. He takes no part in the general conversation, but on the contrary breaks into it from time to time with some start of his own, as if he waked from a dream. This, as I said before, is a sure indication either of a mind so weak that it is not able to bear above one object at a time, or so affected that it would be supported to be wholly engrossed by and directed in some very great and important objects. Sir Isaac Newton, Mr. Locke, and, it may be, 5 or 6 more since the creation of the world may have had a right to absence from the intense thought which the things that they were investigating required. But if a young man and a man of the world who has no such avocations to plead will claim and exercise the right of absence in company, his pretended right should, in my mind, be turned into an involuntary absence by his perpetual exclusion out of company. However frivolous a company may be, still while you are among them, do not show them by your inattention and you think them so, that you think them so, but rather take their tone and conform in some degree to their weaknesses instead of manifesting your contempt for them. There is nothing that people bear more impatiently or forgive less than contempt, and an injury is much sooner forgotten than an insult. If therefore you would rather please than offend, rather be well than ill spoken of, rather to be loved than hated, remember to have that constant attention about you which flatters every man's little vanity, and the want of which, by mortifying his pride, never fails to excite his resentment, or at least his ill will. For instance, most people, I might say all people, have their weaknesses. They have their aversions and their likings to such and such things. So that if you were to laugh at a man for his aversion to a cat or cheese, which are common antipathies, or by inattention and negligence to let them come in his way where you could prevent it, he would, in the first case, think himself insulted, and in the second slighted, and would remember both. Whereas your care to procure for him what he likes and to remove from him what he hates shows that he is at least an object of your attention, flatters his vanity, and makes him possibly more your friend, then a more important service would have been done. With regard to women, attentions still with regard to women, attention still below these are necessary, and by the custom of the world in some measure due, according to the laws of good breeding. My long and frequent letters, which I send you in great doubt of their success, put me in mind of certain papers which you have very lately and formerly sent up to kites along the string which we called messengers. Some of them the wind used to blow away, others were torn by the string, and but few of them got up and stuck to the kite. But I will content myself now, as I did then, if some of my present messengers do not stick to you. Adieu.